Hi class, this is the solution to the week 13 3% exercise, the artwork database. So once you've downloaded the Word file and the Excel file, that should look like so. Notice you're going to have two tabs here, database and valuable. We can begin. So we'll start with step 2, and it says in cell G2 in a valuable worksheet, enter a year_frac function to calculate the number of years from the release date and the date in cell Q2. All right, so first of all, G2 is right here. That's years since released. And Q2 is over here, but we have all these pound signs. So that means that the information that's contained within that cell is too big in order for the entire thing to be displayed. So an easy way to fix this, double click between the columns, which will expand the columns to the right size and give you the proper date that's displayed in there. So essentially it's asking to enter a year_frac function to calculate the number of years from the release date and the date in cell Q2. Okay. Okay, so let's throw that in, equal sign year. And we got one here. We can double click on that. So year_frac, open bracket, start date. So start date is going to be our release date. Okay, our release date. That's logical because, for example, for the first painting, the release date was March 2000, and today's date happens to be, or today's year in this particular question is 2018. So for start date, we're gonna click on F2, comma, and end date will be our date in Q2. So we'll click on that. Now, if we read the question further, it says to use relative and mixed references correctly, as well as format the value with the comma style with one decimal place, and then copy everything down from G3 to G40. So as I mentioned before in class, whenever we use these windows, these sort of input windows, and we're going to be copying down a column or a row, we want to make sure that this information is not shifted as we start copying. So Q2 has to be an absolute cell reference, which means we're going to have F4 on that. I'm going to put dollar signs around Q2, and that should be enough. So we're going to close bracket, hit enter. And right now you're getting January 2000, or at least I am getting January 2000. This is incorrect because it should be a number that's displayed in there that gives you the amount of years between those two dates. So clearly our formatting is said wrong. The question does ask to format it with a comma style, so we're going to try that. Now it changes to 18.3, which makes sense because this was released in March 2000, and it shows that today's date is 2018, so that means 18 years or over 18 years have elapsed between the two. Now we just have to decrease the amount of decimal points. So we're gonna hit this and copy it down, and that's it. Once you have all this, we can move on. So step 3 in cell L2 in the valuable worksheet, enter a nested logical function to display highly valuable if either condition is met. So first things first, where's L2? So L2 is here, so that's where we're going to enter our formula. Number 2, it's asking for a nested logical function. Okay, nested logical function tells us two things. A, that it's going to be an if function, and B, that it's going to have stuff nested into it or stuff inside, or meaning other functions inside the if function. And it's going to display highly valuable if either condition is met. So either, right here, this word either tells me that I have an if function with an or in it. Okay, if function with an or in it. So let me start writing the function. So equal sign, we already agreed that it's going to be an if function and a nested one. So for a logical test, it's asking us that either condition has to be met. So either the release date is on or before December 31st, 1994, or the sold out status is yes, and the percentage increase in value is at least 500%, and the edition size was less than 700. And below it says enter an empty text string if the two conditions are not met. So either the answer is going to be highly valuable or just a blank cell. But we have a couple things going on here. I've already mentioned that it's a nested function because we're having an or, because it says either condition. So either this condition or all these conditions here, which is sold out status. So the first condition is it has to be uh, the release date is on or before December 31st, 1994, or the sold out status is yes, as well as the percentage increase in the value is at least 500%, and the edition size was less than 700. So within our OR, there's also going to be an AND function for our second logical test. All right, so we're going to go with if or open bracket. First things it wants is that the release date is on or before December 31st, 1994. So the release date is in F2. So we're going to click F2. And it's going to be on or before. So that means it has to be less than and equal to whatever is in our conditions here. So our release date is or one of our conditions is December 31st, 1994. So I'm going to select this cell. So that's O4. Now again, remember that because we're using these little input windows and we don't want that stuff shifting as we copy down, we're going to make this an absolute cell reference. All right, so far we have this. Now the other argument is that it's either this argument or all this stuff that has to be met in order for this to display highly valuable. So the other argument that should be satisfied if this one isn't is that the sold out status is yes. Okay, so the sold out status is in I2, but in addition to that, it also needs to have the percentage increase in value at least 500%, and the edition size has to be less than 700. Okay, so for our second condition in OR, I'm going to put a comma and we're going to put an AND in order to meet all of these, to make sure that all of these happen. Okay, so AND open bracket, and the first one was that the sold out, let's go back here, that the sold out status is yes. Okay, so sold out status is in I2. I'm gonna select that. That has to equal yes. So again, any type of text strings, they have to be in quotes. Next thing it's asking for is that the percentage increase in value is at least 500%. At least 500%. So that the increase percentage is in K2. So we're going to put K2 has to be greater than or equal to whatever is in O3, which is 500%. And again, the O3 part, that has to be absolute cell referenced. And comma, and the final thing that has to be satisfied is that the addition size was less than 700. Okay, so again, the addition size is under here, which is O2, but our addition size that's in our spreadsheet is under E2 right here. So as far as our formula goes, I'm just going to click up here because it's starting to get messy up down there. We're going to say E2 has to be less than 700, which is this cell right here. Okay, and again, absolute cell referenced, right? So now we're going to close that bracket, and we're going to close the other bracket because we have two brackets in here, right? 1, 2. So 1 and 2. We're closing 1 and 2. We're going to put a comma, and for our value if true, we're going to say that if all this is true, then we want to display highly valuable. And we're going to close the quote. However, if none of these conditions are met, then it's simply going to enter an empty string, which can be signified with two open and close quotes. And then we're going to close our bracket. Hit enter, and you should see nothing in here. Nothing in here. So the formula, that's a long one and confusing one. Again, nested if, so we start with an if. Then we have our or, because it says either or, right? So it says either this condition has to be met or all these conditions have to be met in order for this to be designated as a highly valuable. Okay, so that's our or, f2 less than or equal to O4, and then the second part of the or is all these, which means we have to nest an and in it. And so that's our and that's all the conditions for the and. And then finally, these are our value if true and value if false. So if all this is true, it should display highly valuable. If all these are false, then it should display nothing. Okay. So like I said, our first painting here displays no comments, which means it's not highly valuable. Okay. All right. So all this is done. Now you need to nest. That kind of gives you a hint. You need to nest two logical functions within the logical test argument. So that's what it's talking about. So two logical functions meaning that we're nesting at the or, and then we're nesting another and within the or, and then finally use cell references to set all conditions and copy functions from cell L2 to the range L3 to L40. So now what's left is just to copy this down. So I'm just going to double click on this. And as you can see, only certain ones. So row 18 is displaying highly valuable, row 19, only very few. Most of them are not valuable. Okay. All right. So that was step 3. That's a really long if function. Step 4, in cell O10 in the valuable worksheet, enter a database function to count the number of art pieces where the comment is highly valuable. The criteria range is located in the range N6 to N7. All right. So first things first, O10 is right here. We're looking for a database function to count the number of art pieces. Okay. So because we're counting the number of art pieces that have a comment highly valuable, we're going to use database function dCountA, right? the count A can be used on words or on text rather. All right, and then our criteria range is already given to us, N6 to N7, which is N6 to N7 is right here. That's our criteria range. Okay, so equal sign D count A. Oh, oops, let's go back to this. Open bracket, database. So we're selecting everything here, our database. So that's C1 to L40, comma. The field we want is this one here with the comments, so that's L1. So I'm going to click on that, comma, and our criteria range as provided in the question is N6 to N7. Okay, I'm going to close the bracket, enter on that, and returns number 5. Okay, well, we can quickly check if that's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's correct, right? And there's only 5 paintings that have the highly valuable in their comment section. So that appears to be correct. All right. Number 5. In cell O11 in the valuable worksheet, enter a database function to calculate the average estimated value of highly valuable pieces of artwork indicated in column J. The criteria range is located in the range N6 to N7. So again, the same criteria range. It's telling you to use J column, which is the estimated value, and the database function. Where am I here? The database function that we're going to use is the average, right? So equal sign the average bracket database we're going to use, again, all of it, just like before, comma, we were already told to use the J column, so we were using the estimated value. So that's J10, or sorry, that's J1, and comma, you were told which criteria to use, close bracket, enter. And it returns 929.80. And step 6, in cell O12 in a valuable worksheet, enter a database function to total the estimate value, so again the same field, of the highly valuable pieces of artwork indicated in column L. The criteria range is located in the range N6 to N7, so same criteria range as before. So the only difference here is we're using a different function. In this case, we're going to use dsum because we're totaling, right? Dsum, again, the database is the same as before, comma, field is exactly the same as before, the estimated value, which is J1, and again, criteria is the same. Close bracket, $4,649. Okay, so the only difference here between these two were the actual functions. In the first one, we use the average, and the second one, we use dsum. Okay. All right, step 7, display the database worksheet and assign a range called database to range A14 to J178. So we're going to use database. All right, so first of all, let's switch tabs here. It's asking for A14 to J178. So I'm just going to select all this. Once we have all this selected, we're going to call it database. Enter. So now all this area that we've selected is going to be referred to as database or known as database, right? All right, step 8 in the database worksheet, assign a range name called criteria to range A7 to J9. All right, so A7 to J9, all of this, that's going to be called criteria. All right. Okay. Moving along, step 9, create a column labels for the criteria range. So in row 7, by copying the labels from row 14 and then replace the edition size with the second release date column label in E7. All right, so first things first, we're copying stuff into row 7 here from row 14. So let's just copy this stuff here and paste it into here. Just gonna make this a little bigger. All right, we also have to replace the edition size with the release date in E7. So this edition size we're replacing with the second release date. So you should have, oh, I don't know what happened here, but that should have, let's copy this again. There we go. Now you want to copy the, you want to replace the edition size with the release date. So you should have first, last, art, type, release date, issue price, sold out, estimated value, and percentage increase in your criteria range. All right, so that's it for step 9. Step 10. You want to set the following conditions in the criteria range. So you want to have limited edition canvas as sold out. So we're gonna, for type, we're gonna paste that in. So limited edition canvas, and it says that it has to be sold out. So that means yes in cell H8. So H8, we're gonna put yes. What is happening here? All right, so yes. And then for the release, so all these limited edition canvas, they have to be released after January 1st, 2000, which is in E8. So E8. So for this one, we're gonna, let's see, released after. So they have to be greater than January 1st, 2000, and before January, or before December 31st, 2003 in F8. So they have to be less than December 31st, 2003. Okay, so that is the first condition in our criteria. The second condition, we want to have the limited edition print that's also sold out. I'm going to copy that in. So for sold out, we're going to say yes. And then it has to be released after January 1st, 2000. So again, greater than January 01st, 2000. And before December 31st, 2003. So less than December 31st, 2003. Okay, so that is our criteria right now. That's our set criteria. So there's two things that this is going to filter out. It's going to filter out all the limited edition canvas and the limited edition print, both that have been sold out. and both between those dates. So anywhere between January 1st, 2000 and December 31st, 2003. Okay, so our criteria is set. Step 11, create an advanced filter using the database list and criteria range. Okay, filter the records in place. In cell C2, enter an appropriate database function to calculate the highest estimated value of the filtered records. All right, so first things first, we're gonna filter this stuff in place. So in order to do that, I want to go to Data, Advanced, make sure our range is correct. So it says A14 to J178, which I believe is correct. Let's just double check. 178, yeah, everything is good. Our criteria range in this case is A7 to J9, which is correct. A7 to J9, that's what we want. And it's all good. So we're gonna filter this in place. So we're gonna keep the radio button where it is. Go ahead, OK, and you should see a decrease in your list. So it went from A14 to again J78 to right now only displaying a significantly less, but it should only have the limited edition print and limited edition canvas. All of them should be have yes for sold out, and again all of them should be between the release dates of January 1st 2000 and December 31st 2003. So just do a quick visual check. Looks like they're all within that range. All right, so the filtering worked. The second part of this says that in cell C2, enter the appropriate database function to calculate the highest estimated value of the filtered records. All right, so this is C2, highest estimated value. So a database function that calculates the highest, anything highest is usually a function called max, or in this case dmax. So d max, open bracket. For database, I'm going to select all this again. Now it's significantly less than before. For our field, we're looking for the highest estimated value. Highest estimated value. So in our case, we are going to use I14, which is the estimated value here. Okay. And then for our criteria, we're going to use our criteria. Oh, I think I have too much in here. Let me back this up. So that should be up to here. All right. And in fact, you can see that in the criteria field, it doesn't give you the range. It just says criteria because that's what we called that range before, if you remember, right? So once we have all this in, enter, and you get 11,331. Okay, 11,331. Okay, step 12 tells us to apply currency format and left align the value in cell C2. All right, so we're going to apply currency format. So we're going to go back to home, and currency is here, and left align is this thing here. All right, so now it's $11,331, and it's left align. So that was step 12. Step 13 in cell C3, enter a nested function using index and match to display the title from the art column, and in cell C4, enter a nested function using index and match to display and release date for the highest estimated value filtered work. Okay, so many things going on here. First of all, it's asking us to enter stuff in C3. So C3, title of artwork. Okay, so in C3, enter a nested function using index and match. So we definitely know we're using index and match. And it's asking to display the title from the art column, which is here. That's our art column right here in C. And then it goes on to talk about what they want in C4. But the title from the art column should have the highest estimated value, right? So essentially, they're looking for the title with the highest estimated value. So we know we're using index and match. So we'll start off with index. For array, I'm going to select all of this. That's our array. Now, for row, we don't know what row we're going to use. But when it comes to column number, we know exactly what column number we're going to use, because we want the name of the artwork. So the name of the artwork is in the third column, right? So 1, 2, 3, it's in the third column. So for that, we're going to use 3. But for row number, we're going to have to use a match function. So match, because it's going to have to find this amount, the 11,331, in here, and then it's going to display whatever title it has over here. All right. So for our lookup value, it's going to be this amount here. So it's going to be our cell C2, comma, lookup array. We're looking in estimated value, so we're selecting all of these. So that is I-76 to I-118. And comma, we want 0 for exact match. I'm going to close this bracket, comma, and I already said that for column, we want the third column, right? Because first, second, third. We want to display the name of the painting. So that's 3, close bracket, enter. And it displays our name of our painting. So if we go and see, so there's 2 of them here. The first one is $3,369, but the second one is what we're looking for exactly, $11,331. That's exactly what we looked for. So that's the painting we want in there. Now for this one, in C4, we continue to read our question. So the second part of this question was that in C4, they want to enter, a nested function using, again, index and match to display the release date for the highest estimated valued filtered artwork. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our spreadsheet. We know that we're using index. Again, the array is going to be the same thing. Well, way too much. All right, so that's our array. Now for row, again, we don't know the row, so we have to use the match function. Match function. Lookup value, again, it's going to be the highest estimated value, right? So that's C2 again. Our lookup array, again, is in here, the estimated value. And we want the exact match, close the bracket. And for column number, it's looking for the, where am I here? It's looking to display the release date, right? The release date. So the release date is right here. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. That's 6. 6 column. So we're going to put number 6 in here. Close the bracket, enter, and get this weird number 37530. So in step 14, it tells us to left align and format the date in cell C4 using March 14 date format. Okay, so this is actually your date, but it's displayed in a sequential number. So first of all, we're going to left align this, and then we're going to set it as date. But it actually wants a very specific format that says March 12. So I'm going to go all the way down to more formats and look here if we have that specific format that it's looking for. If it doesn't, which it doesn't here, we're going to cancel that, and we're going to actually go down even further, and we're going to choose custom. So we'll look for that specific format right here, and that's what it's looking for. It's this one here, which is actually just this one here that says it's looking for just the month and year. I'm going to choose that. I'm going to hit OK, and it should say October 02, so October 2002 essentially. And that's what it's looking for. This is the format March 2012, so we got October 2002. Okay, so we got the right format. Step 15, create a footer with your name on the left side, the sheet name in the center, and the file name to the right. So again, we've done this all semester long. Page setup, footer, your name, sheet name, and file name. Okay, hit OK on that. Okay, and you want to go back to the other tab and do the same thing in here. Again, select footer, your name, middle section, sheet name, and the last section or the right section, file name. Okay, okay. Back to our questions. And step 16, save and close workbook and submit as the All right, so that concludes this exercise. That's what it should look like. These are the answers to these questions. If you have any questions, email me back so I can clarify them. Other than that, you can submit it and you should get your marks. Okay? All right, thank you very much.